Buckle up, everybody. Today we're talking speed, like really fast.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Way faster. I'm talking about the fastest jets ever built.
Yeah.
We're going to deep dive into some incredible articles about these supersonic speedsters.
I've always been fascinated by this topic.
Me too. Especially when you consider the fact that the top speed record was set, get this, back in the early 2000s.
Wow.
And it still stands today. So the question is, how is that even possible with all the tech advancements we've made since then?
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, let's kick things off by introducing our undisputed champion.
Okay.
The NASA X-43. This thing is a beast. It hit a mind-blowing Mach 9.6. That's over 7,365 miles per hour.
That's insane.
I know, right? Imagine, like, flying from New York to L.A. in, I don't know, less than 30 minutes.
Unbelievable. What makes it so fast?
Well, the secret sauce is this thing called a scramjet engine.
What's a scramjet?
It's basically like a jet engine on steroids. It actually uses the aircraft's own speed to compress the incoming air, making it super efficient at supersonic speeds.
I see.
Only 3 of these bad boys were ever built, and one of them, unfortunately, went down during a test flight. They were part of NASA's famous X-plane program.
Yeah, the X-plane program, known for testing out some pretty out-there aviation tech.
Right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this thing was a prime example. The whole point of the program wasn't just about breaking speed records. It was about pushing the limits of what we know about flight.
Right. Pushing the boundaries, seeing what's possible.
I read that each flight only lasted about 10 seconds.
10 seconds. That's it.
Yeah. Why do you think that was?
I have no idea.
Well, picture this. They had to launch this thing from a B-52 bomber at 29,000 feet.
A B-52. Wow.
The X-43 couldn't even take off on its own because of its unique design. So basically, it's like being strapped to a rocket. You know, soaring through the air for a quick burst at supersonic speed. Then it would glide for about 10 minutes before, get this, intentionally crashing into the ocean.
Wait, what? They crashed it on purpose?
Yeah. Why do you think they did that?
Well, I guess trying to land something that unusual would have been a logistical nightmare.
Totally.
And super expensive, I imagine.
For sure. Plus, the data they collected from those final moments of the flight was super valuable.
So it's all about the data.
And a controlled crash was just the most efficient and probably the cheapest way to end the mission.
That makes sense.
Speaking of expensive, developing this thing, it wasn't cheap. What do you think some of the big engineering challenges were?
I mean, just building something that could handle that kind of heat and pressure at hypersonic speeds?
Yeah.
That's got to be incredibly difficult, right?
Absolutely. They had to use cutting-edge materials, come up with a whole new engine design, and then, like we said, there was that whole launch procedure. It all adds up.
I guess they only got a handful of test flights out of it, too, which probably didn't help with the cost.
Nope. So ultimately, the program was kind of put on hold, and they shifted focus to the X-51. Heard of that one?
Yeah, the X-51.
It was all about more sustainable hypersonic research.
So the X-43 was like a stepping stone?
Exactly. A super fast stepping stone. But it paved the way for a lot of future advancements. Okay, ready to switch gears?
Yeah, hit me.
Let's talk about the second fastest jet ever built.
Oh, this is the one I've been waiting for.
I bet you know which one I'm talking about.
It's got to be.
The legendary Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird.
The Blackbird.
Sleek. Black. 3 times the speed of sound. Like something straight out of a spy movie.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't just about looking cool. This thing was designed for some serious business.
Oh, yeah. This was during the Cold War, right?
Right. They needed a way to gather intel, and they needed it fast. So they came up with the Blackbird.
So it was a reconnaissance aircraft.
The best of its time. Outfitted with cutting-edge sensors, cameras.
Yeah.
It could fly at crazy high altitudes. And it had an insane operational range.
How far could it fly?
We're talking U.S. to Europe and back without refueling.
No way.
And get this.
What?
It could outrun missiles.
Missiles?
Missiles. Imagine that, back in the 1960s. They figured out how to make a plane that could outrun a missile.
But how? How is that even possible?
It comes down to, you guessed it, speed and maneuverability.
Okay, so how fast are we talking?
Mach 3.2. And it could fly at altitudes above 80,000 feet.
80,000 feet.
So it was basically too high and too fast for anything to catch it. If a missile did happen to get launched, the pilot could just, push the throttle forward and leave it in the dust.
That's incredible.
But of course, all that power came with a price. They could only fly each Blackbird once a week.
Really? Why is that?
Because of all the prep work. This thing was high maintenance.
What kind of prep are we talking about?
The skin of the plane was made of titanium.
Titanium.
Yeah, to handle the insane heat from flying so fast. But even with titanium, the skid would actually glow red hot from the air friction.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
No.
So every flight put an incredible amount of stress on the aircraft. They had to inspect it meticulously after every mission.
So it's not surprising that the speed record from the early 2000s still stands.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that both of these aircraft, the X-43 and the Blackbird, are still so relevant today.
They were both way ahead of their time.
Totally. I mean, the X-43's record hasn't been touched, and the Blackbird's legacy, well, it continues to inspire everyone in the aviation world.
Yeah. You know, they really do represent two completely different ways of pushing the boundaries of speed.
That's a great point. What do you think?
Well, the X-43, that was like a pure experiment, you know? A glimpse into what hypersonic flight could be. But the Blackbird? That was all about taking cutting-edge tech and making it practical. It had a job to do, and it did it flawlessly.
And it did with style. It makes you wonder, why haven't we seen anything break the X-43's record in all this time?
Right. I mean, is it just too expensive?
It's got to be a factor. I mean, developing and testing hypersonic aircraft, that's not cheap.
And there are safety concerns too, right?
Of course. And then there's the environmental impact. We can't forget about that. So maybe breaking that speed barrier just isn't a top priority right now.
Maybe it's not all about speed. Maybe there's something else out there.
Something even faster.
I don't know about faster, but maybe more efficient, or maybe we just haven't thought of it yet.
So, last question. What do you think the future holds for all this, the whole world of supersonic and hypersonic flight? Will we ever see a world where we can zip across the globe in a matter of hours?
I really don't know. I think it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, the research isn't stopping. So maybe, just maybe, one day hypersonic travel will be like, hopping on a bus.
That would be wild.
Or, maybe we'll come up with completely new ways to travel that we haven't even thought of yet.
I like the way you think. The future of flight. It's full of possibilities, and that's what keeps it so exciting.
For sure.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of record-breaking jets. It's been a blast.
Glad to be here.
Until next time, keep looking up.